pair of hawk-nosed girls with red hair sat opposite us on the train. I smiled at them, but they stared out of flat eyes and didn't smile back. Kids have always scared me. Weird ones make me feel dunderingly inadequate. So I sat in silence, looking across Maud to the passing views of people's bedrooms, back gardens and washing lines, and eventually the sea. When Ireland's Eye hoved into view, Maud flickered with excitement. "Look, Dominic," she said, grabbing my hand, "the eye." "We can take a boat over to there, you know. Chuffy brought us once." "Did he?" I said, surprised by this snippet as much as by her mention of him. My throat dried up and I could feel the tinny thump of my heart. "How do you know Chuffy?" I asked at last. "Chuffy is Roger's uncle," she said. "He knows all about Max, about what happened." "God, he never mentioned a thing," I said, realising that Chuffy didn't talk about anything much beyond the TV news or bits and pieces from the lives of the Cova's few regulars. "Chuffy's good to me," she said. "He listens." "He's a listener, all right," I said. We decided to walk down Harbour Road. Maud wanted to look at the big houses. She called out their names as we passed them. Inishowen, Linwood, Errigal, Kincora. Their gardens were enormous and rich with rowan, willow and oak trees. We came to a shop that was also a pub. "Beer, books, eggs, marble, wool, souvenirs, ice creams," Maud read from a sign on the front. A plastic Angelito cone, the size of a man, was fixed to the top of a gas cylinder outside. I went in and got us a 99 each. Maud smiled like a child when I handed her the cone, and I watched with pleasure as her tongue flicked over the ice cream. We crossed the road and sat on a rough stone wall overlooking the sea, near to an old couple who were also eating cones. The way they were dressed, both in beige, the woman in man's shoes, and the sloppy, intent way they ate their ice creams made me feel sad. I finished my cone quickly, keeping my eyes focused on the harbour. Children were throwing fish heads to 3 fat seals further along, and the wind thwacked the mast ropes of the boats that were moored below us. The seals smiled and ducked, ate and bobbed, the children laughed. My skin felt salt-blown and tight, a feeling I loved. The sea smell and Maud's shoulder under my arm made me feel secure. I hugged her side to my side and she grinned at me. We walked then, past the bandstand and down to the yacht club, looking at all the parents entertaining babies on the grass, and the busy boat owners who fit so naturally into the place. We scouted a few restaurant menus, but Maud said she would prefer to make dinner for us. We walked to her house from the train station. Chicago was sitting on the doorstep licking himself, and he ran inside as soon as the door was open. I like cats about as much as I like kids, and after a while I tried to tow him out of the room. He wouldn't move. I snarled at him and he turned his back to me and stretched out on the mat as if to stick himself to it. "Kss," I said, flapping my hand at him. Maud was chopping vegetables at the table. "Leave him, Dominic," she said. "He's doing no harm." I sat, sipped wine, and tried to adjust myself to the odd atmosphere in the house. The cat lay like a dead thing, and Maud cooked quietly. Even the budgie was silent. After dinner we sat on the sofa and kissed. Excuse me. The wine made my tongue fuller, her lips softer, and we kissed for a long time, like teenagers afraid to do more. "The sea was nice," I said, turning her hair in my fingers. "It did me good," she said, and kissed my nose, my eyes, my mouth. "Do you want to go to the bedroom?" I asked. "Let's do it here," Maud said. I tucked her under me and slowly removed her skirt and underwear. We made love with the sour smell of the cushions in our noses. Like a slow walker on ice, I am always waiting for the worst to happen. Or if not the worst, then something untoward. My wife, sick of my downbeat attitudes, once said to me, "People don't live in single states of mind, Dominic. You can't let yourself live in a single state of mind." But I always have. Dread is my default position. And I was surprised to realise that everybody else isn't the same. So, though I was enjoying getting to know Maud, I was always waiting for something to crop up. We fell asleep on the sofa. Maud woke me in the night and we fumbled naked to her bedroom and snuggled down together under the quilt. I realised I needed the loo and got up again. I don't like sleeping nude, so on my way back from the toilet I dipped into the sitting room to retrieve my boxers and t-shirt. I could hear little fossicking noises and I followed them to the corner and Droopy's birdcage. He was scrabbling around the bottom of the cage, burbling, his head hanging down. I thought he looked unwell. I opened the door and poked gently at him with my finger. He lifted his face to me and cocked his head. I was amazed when he jumped onto my finger. I slowly lifted out my hand through the birdcage door and looked closely at him. He puffed his tiny blue chest and raised his wings. "I think you're okay," I said, and went to put him back on his perch, but he flew off around the room. "Fuck," I said, and lunged towards him, but I couldn't catch him. I jumped after him again and knocked over a chair. He settled on the curtain rail. "Come here, Droopy," I called, and stood with my arm out. I thought I might coax him down somehow if I stayed still. He took off again, flying into the middle of the room. As if in slow motion, I saw Chicago arc through the air and settle his jaws around Droopy's upper body. He shook the bird hard. I leapt forward and belted the cat with my hand. "You fucker," I shouted. "Let go! Let go!" Maud appeared in the doorway. "Oh," she said. "Oh." Chicago dropped Droopy and skulked under the sofa. I bent and picked up the budgie. He felt soft, insubstantial. His neck wobbled and his head flopped comically from side to side. I waggled him a bit. "He's really droopy now," I said, and held him up for Maud to see. I laughed. Maud burst out crying.